Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Good evening again. A weekend of winter is on the horizon. We started out the week with spring-like warmth, but now cold is taking over, and tomorrow we will likely wake up to snow on the ground. It's a severe weather alert day. Chief Meteorologist Andrew Dockery is working to keep you ahead of the storm. Andrew?
Well, Justin, we've done about as much preparing as we can for this, and the good news is the main impact's going to be to our northwest. We're not going to see this big winter storm, but enough to cause some travel issues and some headaches for your Saturday morning. Let's go ahead and take a look at satellite radar because clouds beginning to increase and a few flurries now starting to show up and could even be reaching the ground in portions there of Wayne County near Columbia. That would be across the Louis B. Cumberland Parkway all the way out into south central Kentucky at this time. The main system, that's work again. You could see western Kentucky already picking up on some snow, and that snow is going to continue to travel to the east with a winter storm warning to the northwest and a winter weather advisory shaded in purple, which is what we have to deal with at least until noon on your Saturday. Current temperatures, they're falling and they continue to fall. 37 in London, 37 in Somerset, and 32 in Pikeville. The main system will arrive in our locations here at 12 to 2, basically across Pulaski County into Laurel County, 1 to 3 a.m. as you headed to the forecast for the Kentucky River region. And then, Justin, finally, you'll be looking at 2 to 5 as you work out to the big sandy communities and also into southeastern Kentucky. More on that forecast coming up in a few short minutes.
Andrew, thank you. Last weekend, we broke out the short sleeve shirts, and this weekend, it looks like we're going to have to bring out the winter boots. Meteorologist Paige Noel talked with highway officials in Magoffin County to see how they are preparing for this weekend's system.
From 60-degree weather to freezing temperatures, the Magoffin County Highway Department is fully prepared all winter long.
We have our trucks ready. I mean, we're always ready for snow, especially, like this one. Even though it's going to turn into rain, we just kind of play that by ear.
And even though the rain makes this forecast difficult for meteorologists, it might help out the highway departments.
Rain, hopefully, will help us out a little bit about getting it off. So
Howard also says that sometimes the smaller accumulating snowfall means more work.
Some of these smaller snows, these little snow squalls that come in and out and change over and what have you, it's hard to stay out all the time out there.
But Howard and his team treat all snow events the same.
Seems like the less accumulation, we use just about as much salt on less accumulation as we do a big event.
And despite the freezing temperatures, locals are dreaming of last weekend's weather.
It was 60 degrees last week. It's freezing weather this week. It's the crazy Kentucky weather.
It's just Kentucky. That's how it is. It's just Kentucky.
Hoping spring arrives quickly. In Magoffin County, Paige Noel, WYMT Mountain News.
Highway officials also say having more traffic on the roads makes it more difficult to treat them, so they are encouraging everyone to stay home if possible. We want to remind you again that you can always find the latest weather conditions on the WYMT weather app. See live radar and live forecasts and zoom into your neighborhood and learn about warnings and advisories in your area. You can find it on the Apple and Google Play stores. Avawam volunteer firefighters faced some challenges on this cold morning as they fought a house fire in Rockhouse Fork Road in the busy community of Perry County. WYMT's Taylor Upchurch was on the scene as they shared valuable lessons about extinguishing fires during the winter season.
It's a little slick, 20-some degrees.
Firefighters fought a house fire on thin ice this morning.
The water's literally freezing as it hits the ground, so that's how cold it is. And they lost their home on a really rough day.
The cause of this fire is still unknown, but officials say it is possible it started in a back bedroom. Luckily, the cold temperatures did not keep them from other sources of running water.
We've got it dammed up and we're pulling water out of the creek right now.
In winter, flames are a threat, but frozen water can cause even more headaches.
If it's below freezing, sometimes we have to bust holes in the creek, or sometimes the lines will, if you shut a nozzle off and don't leave it running, the line will freeze.
Each year they learn valuable lessons.
If they're out standing around the trucks, doing other things, been in the water, you want to get them close somewhere and dry them off and make sure they don't get frostbite or get hypothermia.
Toller says it took a little more than a couple hours to get the fire under control.
They are troopers because it is really cold, and I guess if I was a firefighter, I would do what I could, but it was really, really cold, so they're troopers for it. So
fighting even harder in cold conditions. In Perry County, Taylor Upchurch, WYMT Mountain News.
Everyone in the house got out safely. One child was sent to Hazard Hospital with minor injuries. In Whitley County, we have an update to the story we brought you yesterday about a string of suspicious house fires. The Corbin Fire Department says they've had no reports of any fires as of this morning. This comes after 5 different house fires this week. Investigators think that most of them were set intentionally. None of the homes were occupied at the time of the fires, which raised suspicions. With no new reports of fires, the total count of fires remains at 5. A man in Floyd County pleaded not guilty this week to an assault charge. A grand jury indicted Delbert Kahn in December. He faces first-degree assault and persistent felony offender charges. Police say Kahn used a knife to cut up a woman's face in October. Another hearing is set for January 24th. Now to an update about the condition of a man shot during an alleged Pulaski County burglary. The Pulaski County Sheriff says William Auxier died. Auxier was accused in a burglary early Tuesday morning. The homeowner and Auxier had an altercation and Auxier was shot. He was flown to UK Medical Center. No charges have been filed at this time. The investigation is still ongoing. Today, a delay in the case of a man facing a murder charge out of Pike County. Coley Dunder Maxwell was expected to appear in court this morning. His arraignment was continued until January 16th. A grand jury indicted him and 2 other men in July for murder of Amiri Hall. Tevin Robinson and Marion Ritchie were also shot, but they survived. Now to a follow-up on a story we told you about last night. It involved the arrest of an Eastern Kentucky man. A woman filed a complaint warrant against Justin Trout. The woman says she paid him $850 for a heating and cooling unit, but that Trout never brought it. Today we learned Trout actually gave the woman her money back, and the woman plans to drop the charges against him in a January 28th hearing. The partial government shutdown continues tonight, meaning hundreds of thousands of federal employees are either furloughed or working without pay. With no end in sight, workers are wondering when they'll see that next paycheck. It was payday for some workers who we're told got a $0 pay stub. Some airports across the country are having staffing issues because TSA agents are calling in sick. But at Bluegrass Airport in Lexington, union representatives say they will continue working knowing they will get paid someday. The first week of the 2019 General Assembly wrapped up today. It's been a busy 4 days for both the Senate and the House. We've seen discussion on various topics like medical marijuana, school safety, and of course, the state's troubled public pension system. Speaker David Osborne says pension reform is something that will take a lot of cooperation, education, and negotiation, and it's something they do not want to rush.
Certainly not my hope or preference that we don't have one before we leave, but I think that we have to be realistic.
Minority Leader Rocky Adkins says Democratic members stand united in their belief 2013 and 2008 reforms are working, and hope if pension reform does happen that it will be because of a bipartisan effort. State officials here in Kentucky are offering a new kind of permit for hunting elk. The new option gives archery and crossbow hunters a choice of whether to take a male or female elk. The state still plans to offer quota elk hunt permits. That includes gun along with a youth permit. The state plans to offer almost 600 permits. The deadline to apply is the end of April. Today, 111 holds a special meeting for those at the Pikeville Police Department. It is Officer Scotty Hamilton Day. Here's a sign made to honor the fallen officer at Pikeville Cemetery, where he is buried. Officers with the Pikeville Police Department say gestures like these remind them of how much a community cares.
An officer that retired from here's niece that does that geography, she just went ahead and done that on her own, you know, so it's just amazing to see people do stuff like that.
While many throughout the city wore memorial t-shirts to honor him, businesses put stickers in their windows to keep his memory alive. Outside the police department, a group gathered. They reflected on his life. WYMT's Macy Marie reports.
For just a few moments after this call rang out at 111.
All units observe a moment of silence in honor of our brother, Officer Scotty Hamilton.
There was only the sound of the wind rustling and cars driving by outside the Pikeville Police Department.
We just knew that we was going to retire that number, so it symbolizes him because that's who he was. He was 111 to us.
These loved ones gathering to remember not only the officer known as 111, but also their friend known as a family man, joker, and hard worker.
Scotty could do his job and do it well and made no enemies in doing so. You know, nobody was mad at Scotty. Nobody never had a bad word to say about him. Even people he took to jail.
Pikeville Police Chief Chris Edmonds says even as Officer Hamilton's boss, it was hard to keep up with his great work ethic.
There's nothing he didn't go at that he didn't go at full force.
In the moment of silence, reflecting on that trait.
He was always funny.
And all the other qualities people loved about him.
Hard to replace something like that.
Standing side by side, held together by those memories.
Scotty Hamilton Day, it was amazing to see that kind of crowd and truly blessed us to see that.
And the love they share for him.
Officer Hamilton, thank you for your service. We will never forget.
In Pike County, Macy Marie, WYMT Mountain News.
Pikeville officials declared every year 111 will be a day of honoring Officer Hamilton. Over time, we have learned more about Officer Scotty Hamilton. He was a 12-year veteran of the Pikeville Police Department. He graduated from Shelby Valley High School, where he also played baseball and football. Scotty married the love of his life, Chelsea, in February of 2013. They had one child, a little girl, Brinley Elizabeth. The street that runs beside the Pikeville Police Department now bears his name. He's also received awards for his bravery since his untimely death in the line of duty. Coming up, police in Laurel County make a large drug bust, 2 pounds of meth actually. Wait until you hear how much the street value is just ahead.
And the snow arrives tonight and continues through Saturday. We'll have the details coming up next.
When you see news happening, dial star 57 or text your news tip to 5757. Service is provided by Appalachian Wireless. Better service, bigger savings.
Get front porch flavor for a laid-back price on McDonald's $1, $2, $3 menu. Like any size refreshing sweet tea for just $1. Or a flaky buttermilk crispy chicken biscuit for $3. Find more classics now on the $1, $2, $3